Hey guys, welcome back. Workplace Session Life and Jiu Jitsu. So pretty excited this week, guys. First of all, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for continued support. As you guys can see, we're back at the compound this week. Really appreciate support from the compound, allowing me to do interviews at their facility. It's been great, great time. So catch you guys up. About a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, we had the Track BJJ Invitational here at the compound. Really great event. The video is still available on YouTube. You can check it out if you want to watch some of the matches, listen to my commentary, my often witty remarks are there, so you guys can check that out. Also, we had an interview with current 2018 IBJJF Black Belt World Champion Muhammad Ali. Guys, if you haven't already listened to that, that's available too. Check it out. And then we have a lot of our old historical audio on our iTunes or SoundCloud or Podbean, Stitcher, wherever you download. So for audio only files, guys, please check those out. Have a lot of good guests on there as well. Moving forward to today, obviously you guys can see I have someone sitting next to me. So I have my friend Pasha here. Before we get started, because I have a lot for him to talk about, or that I would like for him to talk about, I would try to pull out of him. We're on a limited time today, so I know we're not going to get to some of those things. However, first interview for him, but in my mind, what I envision, it's the first of many interviews that we're going to have, because we have this shared passion for the mission of military, law enforcement, veterans, active duty, first providers, a lot of things of building that community and giving back to that community. So as like-minded individuals, we want to keep moving this forward. So as I say that, guys, if you haven't seen the last blog post on our Workplay Obsession page, check it out. I rescoped the mission here, right? Our original, I don't know if you're tracking this, my original mission statement at the beginning was bridging the gap between traditional martial arts and combatives for military and law enforcement, which is great. But what I realized over time is there are quite a few good resources out there for that. Quite a few good resources. You can YouTube and Google, you can Google them. You can find a lot of techniques, a lot of shooting, a lot of knife work, a lot of hand-to-hand. It's all there, guys. But what I realized was we didn't really have a large community or a large set of resources to talk about what we're going to talk about. To talk about mental health awareness, to talk about building a community within not only jiu-jitsu, but other pastimes, hobbies, activities, obsessions, as I call them, passions that bring people together and kind of address some of the issues or challenges, is a better word, that our veterans face today. Not only our veterans, active duty, spouses of veterans, law enforcement, first providers. There's a lot of people out there, and that's why they find jiu-jitsu. One of the reasons they find jiu-jitsu, and a lot of the other activities we're gonna talk about over the next months and years, as long as we have to get the message out and to bring people in. So I talked for long enough. You guys already know who I am. You guys have been here before. I want Pasha to talk a little bit. Let's go with let's introduce yourself. Have you introduce yourself. Wherever you want to start is fine, and then we'll just go from there.
Okay, so my name is Pasha. I'm still on active duty Army, currently going through a medical retirement process. I'm also a co-founder here at the compound. Pal pulled me in, and I specifically came in for the community aspect that we're trying to do here at the compound. So build up community around Jiu-Jitsu, and specifically focus on veterans and first responders to create kind of that community that will provide mutual support and help carry each other through what most of us are going through.
Right.
So just a little bit about my story. I've been in the Army for 16 years. I was wounded for the first time in 2005. I'm not going to get in details all of that, but most of the physical stuff healed. Emotionally, I was doing okay back then, but as the years went on, looking back on it, my life started to spiral out of control a little bit. So on top of that, I got married, started having kids. Yeah. My responsibilities started growing. At the same time, I was deteriorating. So then 2015, went back to Iraq, and I had other deployments between 2005 and 2015, but 2015 I went back to Iraq, ended up getting hurt again. But stuff that's been built up inside of me, like in the decade in between, that I did not address, everything came out and flooded and just basically crushed me in, and I was in a pretty bad situation. Going through the struggle, I ended up, one of my friends, actually back then he was not even a friend, he was a co-worker,
right.
but he saw that I was struggling. It was Josh Callow. He saw that I was struggling. He was part of Warrior events, and he's like, hey, why don't you come out to one of these events? And it was a fishing trip.
Right.
So I ended up coming out, and for the first time, like being around guys that have been where I've been and kind of experiencing what I'm experiencing, that burden that was crushing me, it came off. And so in that moment, it was like, it doesn't have to always be like this, right? So that gave me hope, and that hope is what started my turnaround and allowed me to start looking into my issues.
So just to jump in for a second, I just want, so for those of you that are watching as opposed to listening to the audio only, I'm typing a lot on my phone, and what I'm doing is I'm not being rude. What I'm actually doing is I'm capturing things that Pasha's saying that I want to come back to later. I don't want to forget, because I didn't want to interrupt where he was going, but I didn't want to seem rude at the same time. So I'm actually taking notes on things I'm going to bring up to you as we kind of move along. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay,
Continue.
no worries. So just to finish that thought, so that one event I went through introduced me to this environment where I'm around people that are like me.
Yes. And
it lifted the burden off of me. So then I started coming back. But still, those events, they happen a few times a year.
Yeah.
So when Pau came up with the idea with a compound, my thought process was, we can use this space to create something that's consistently there.
Yeah.
Like this Memorial Day event that we're gonna do. We know it's gonna be a physical challenge, but we're also gonna talk about some of these issues. I'm gonna lead the conversation by basically living with stress and how it impacts us and how it impacts people around us. So that's going to be just a start, and then what I'm hoping to do is have like monthly conversations coming back, so that people who want to benefit from it can come back here, and they constantly have a touch point. Like, I'm going to go over there, and I know what to expect. I know I'm going to get a little bit of that weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, it's almost, you recognize there was something that was required, or you recognize there was a gap, if we want to call it that. And rather than admiring the problem, you guys essentially built a platform, right? So now you have this platform where you could say, hey, we realize some of these other events are only quarterly or once or twice a year. Now we have the ability to plan these as we see fit, as we have the ability to do. And I think that's awesome. I think that's it's one of the reasons why I had this written down somewhere. I'm not sure where now, but they were studies showing the increase in the number of veterans doing Jiu Jitsu post-military career. I don't remember what the percentage was, but one of the reasons cited was just the sense of community, the like-minded individuals. And when you look at a large percentage of the folks that train, if you dig into it, you'll find out they like guns, they like coffee, they like beer, they like jiu-jitsu, they like gun shooting, and it's that sense of similar purpose, or that sense of team that they're back around again, that draws them in.
So that's what made it attractive. So me personally, I haven't done a whole lot of jiu-jitsu, like outside of what I've done in the Army combatives. But I had enough experience to know that it's the potential of it, and you just backed up exactly like what I was thinking. Because when I was struggling, there's few things that are very important. One is the support network around you, so your wife, your family. Right. But two is having that sense of community outside of your own family, like we had like with our units and people that we served with. And Jiu-Jitsu has that click, that niche type of like, I get this sense from skydiving. Skydiving has similar type of effect, similar type of community where you're all going through something that you share.
Yeah.
Then it's just instant bond that is created.
Yeah. So interesting, because I mentioned my blog post earlier, but it was one of those, I started to go on this tangent about, in Jiu-Jitsu, what I've found over the last 9 or 10 years that I've been training is you have, unfortunately, you have these divisions between sport, martial arts, and now this, what I like to call it, a sense of community, right? So there's almost like, hey, there are people that train just because they want to be around like-minded people and build a community. There are people that train just because they want to be world champions, and then there are people that train just because they want self-defense. Now, I'm not saying they're all mutually exclusive, because they're not. I like to compete, and I like the sense of community. So I'm a little bit in both. And of course, I have a strong passion for self-defense. Although I don't like defense because that sounds reactive. I like personal readiness, situational awareness. Yes, another long tangent, but I have a little bit of all three, and I find that having the freedom to travel to different academies and talk and meet and discuss with other people, that's where my real joy comes from. And jiu-jitsu is only getting the foot in the door. That's how I get my foot in the door. But then you realize so many other things, so many other challenges, or so many similarities that you have with other people. So it's interesting. Let me go back for a second. You said, I thought this was pretty interesting, and that's why I wrote it down. You said your physical injuries healed, but the other injuries did not. Yeah. Right? So let's talk about that, but I want to hit on the fact that because the outward appearance looks healed, people think you're fine. Yeah. And people tend to brush it off, and you may brush it off. Yeah. So let's talk. I want you to talk about that for a little bit. How did that impact kind of your thoughts on, hey, I'm physically healed, I'm fine, people?
So, I think about this stuff a lot, and like I trying to understand what living with PTSD and TBI, what does it equate to, so that I can understand it better. And there's two things that kind of popped into my head. And please, like, if you've experienced any of them, I'm not trying to take away from your experience, but one way, like, I see PTSD being like cancer, because you have it. Sometimes you have it for a long period of time, and you don't know that it's there. In the meantime, it's destroying you from the inside. And by the time it becomes obvious and it's apparent to like you, like in case of cancer, like in doctors, it's probably spread and it has a pretty big impact on you. And recovery is going to be much harder to overcome it. Right. So same thing with PTSD. For me, living with it, it started out slowly, just anger issues, but then anger issues turned into me like losing control around my kids, and that created guilt. Guilt created just pain. Right. When you're pain and you're suffering and you don't know any better, you're gonna numb it, like watching TV, or you're gonna start drinking, whatever the easiest thing to do to take the pain away. So for years, my life was spiraling out of control. And what I did, just like most people do, is it's internal. Right. And it's invisible, and nobody knows about it. And I'm struggling, and I'm thinking about it every day, and it impacts me. And it starts to create that tension, that burden that I mentioned earlier. And with time, that burden gets heavier and heavier, and the heavier it gets, the more pain you feel, the worse your habits become. And it takes years, and by the time you realize that I have a problem, right, you're so, like, these bad habits are such a huge part of you that it's very hard to come out of. And then so a lot of times you lose hope. A lot of times you go numb, or you just stop caring, because like, it's much easier to shut down than just to face, like, the person you become. Because you start out like up here, and your life spirals out of control, and then you end up over here, and you're in the bottom of this hole, and you're looking up. It's like, I don't know if I can get out. Right. And like I've experienced like the physical pain that came from my emotions.
Right.
I don't know how to explain it, but it's been so heavy on me that like I couldn't breathe. Like I had panic attacks in the grocery store when I have a hard time finding something.
Right.
Right.
I know we discussed that a little bit before as well.
So that's the invisible part, and you know the worst part about invisible is that it's with you, and unless you say something,
right,
you're gonna carry that burden alone.
Yeah, which you shouldn't have.
You shouldn't.
And there are people that are there.
Yeah.
So let me hit on that a little bit. Now that you brought that up, it's a good. It's a good subject to talk about. So how does, as an active duty service member, in case we have some other active duty service members listening or watching, how has the support been for you once you were able to, take the step to say, hey, I need help, or I need a resource to reach out to?
Okay, so first of all, just on a personal level, this is not unit specific,
right?
Because that depends on the unit and your leadership.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, larger level.
Yeah,
Yep.
But on the personal level, just like soldier to soldier or being amongst my peers,
yeah,
I have not had one negative experience that comes to it. Nobody has treated me like nobody has looked down on me since I started doing it. In fact, it was the opposite. You saw it, the video I put out on Facebook.
Yep.
It was just a few days ago. That video has had over I think almost 3,000 views by now, right? And a lot of people are sharing it. And it's not like I felt horrible doing the video, but I got so much response from it and so much, and there's a lot of, you're going to get encouragement no matter what.
Right.
Right. There's just people around you love you, but if they don't know they're suffering, they're not going to be there to support you,
exactly,
right? But once you let it out, you're going to see how many people want to be there for you. So that's not why I put out the video. I was not looking for support, but I was looking to just raise the conversation and start talking about it.
I fear that there are people that want to say something or want to seek out resources, but they're afraid of what other people might say, or the misconception that other people are going to look down on you, or for some people, I know they're concerned the Army was going to kick them out because they're like, well, it's time to move on. But and that's why I asked the question for you to kind of discuss that a little bit.
Well, for me, our unit is a little bit unique, but I had nothing but support from my team leader at the time to the command sergeant major.
Right.
So if that's something if that's something you're dealing with right now and you're by yourself, find somebody that you trust and open up and have the conversation. And just from that, you're going to get a sense of relief. And let's say you don't have anybody and you're and you're in a desperate situation. Something that worked for me really well, you just pick up a pen and a piece of paper, blank paper, and just start writing.
Right.
Whatever thoughts come into your mind, there's just something that happens when you pick up a pen. It just pulls all those thoughts out of your head and on paper.
Wow.
Burn it afterwards if you want to.
Yeah.
You don't have to hold on to it, but that's something that will help. And that might be that foot in the door, like you mentioned earlier, that will lead you to having a conversation with a friend.
Right. It's that first step.
Yeah. And then it will grow from there.
Nice. So I pulled up here on my phone. So I was reading something, and they were talking about The Rock, about Dwayne Johnson, when after his mom attempted suicide, he went through a bout of depression, is what he said. But the main thing is, it brings us back to what we're talking about. And they have a quote for him. It says, "It took me a long time to realize it, but the key is to not be afraid to open up." He's like, especially us dudes have a tendency to keep it in. You're not alone. And that kind of struck me with the military and the community of folks about having the tendency to keep it in. But that was a really good comment that you made about writing it down. And like you said, even if you have to burn it, but at least you get it out.
Get it out.
And you're working through those thoughts. And that brings me back to, once again, the beauty of community as well. Because sometimes that time you spend alone or without a community to reach out to is that time where you get too deep down in your thoughts, or you beat yourself up a little too much. But even if you haven't opened up yet or addressed it yet, and you're coming to like a jiu-jitsu or a yoga or whatever, a shooting club, you're still around those people that encourage you. Or maybe you'll hear someone else who's dealing with the same thing, and they may reach out to you.
Yeah.
So that's the other beauty of, and my purpose, is expanding this community, and especially what you guys are doing, because people will hear about it. We're going to continue to push, so people will hear about it and say, hey, come by this event at the compound. And maybe that's the day that somebody says, hey, I know you guys are doing these programs, or I know you guys help people. I'm struggling.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's, hey, I have a friend who's struggling. But the whole friend, where it's really, so
whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Yeah, which is a great tagline. You should steal that.
That band, Imagine Dragons, I feel like 6 of their songs were written just for me.
So I wrote down last night, I was kind of thinking about some things, and I wrote down here a few words I wanted to throw at you and for you to give me your first thought. So when you think about PTSD, or you think about depression, or you think about mental health challenges, what do you think about when you hear someone that says, man up? That's the first one. What comes to your mind?
First thing that comes into my mind, that they have no idea what it feels like.
Yeah.
That's the last. If somebody in your life is struggling, do not tell them to man up.
Yeah.
Because like if you would tell me that, I know you have no idea what it feels like. This is not like going like through like on a 20-mile road march.
Right.
That's something you can man up.
Right.
When you're getting crushed.
Not me, by the way. I need to be picked up. This is a 20-mile march.
When you're getting crushed by something that you don't know what it is and you don't understand it, you can't man up against that. It's the little tiny steps that you have to take action to get out of it. That will take strength, but you can't muscle through it.
Right. Okay. What about then another one I had written down was alcohol dependency.
So alcohol and any other thing that makes your pain go away in the moment. It could be alcohol, it could be Netflix. It's whatever takes your mind off of suffering. It feels good in the moment.
Right.
But it will just push the pain, like will put away the inevitable, but it's not just putting it away, it's making it worse, right? So every time you reach out for that drink, instead of like sit there and face. So whenever you feel pain, right? Like why do we reach for alcohol? Because outside of social situations, right? But when you come home and you have had a stressful day and you reach for a drink, it feels good. I love the feeling that comes with it. But when you have that craving, that means something's going on inside your head. So you can reach for an alcohol.
Very good point.
You can and you can reach for for a drink, or you can go for a walk. You're gonna get release from both. But with one, when you go for a walk, you're actually gonna get a chance to process whatever creates that tension inside of you. When you reach for a drink, you're not gonna process anything.
Yeah.
You're gonna stop feeling it until the next day, when stuff from yesterday is gonna pile up on whatever happens today, and then you're gonna want another drink, and then you just start going down the wrong road.
Wow, that's powerful. That's good. That's good stuff. Guys, I wanted to sit down and talk longer, but actually he has a call. He's got to be on in like 10 minutes or probably less.
We still got 10 minutes.
But yeah, I wanted to take the time to close out properly before he takes off, and to give you the opportunity to do just that. Talk about anything you want to talk about. Yeah, the floor is yours. Absolutely.
So I just want to say one thing is, it's easy for me to sit here right now and talk about it because I've been living it for a few years now, and I've learned how to deal with it and how to face these issues, right? Mm-hmm. This is not where I was 3 years ago. The most important, when you're feeling down and you're sitting there and you're in pain and you're getting crushed by the world, the last thing I wanted to do was reach out for help, reach out for somebody. That was not even in my thoughts, or even like I knew it, that's what I should do, but I'm not interested in that right now. So you have to figure out your why. Like, why do you want to get better? Not why you want to numb I know why you want to numb the pain getting a drink, but why do you want to get better? So for me, one of the biggest way PTSD came out was anger. Like anger, and where it came out the most was at home with my family and around my kids. I have 4 boys at home. So my wake up moment was seeing my anger inside my kids.
Right.
Seeing like one of my sons talking to his brother the way I talk to them, and that was like, I got to do something about it.
Absolutely.
So that, and around the same time is when I went to that first event that kind of lifted the burden.
Right.
That created a little bit of breathing room, and I just grabbed onto it and I started this journey. And I'm far from over. Right now I'm at a point where I thought it's something you get over with, and then it's gone. But right now I'm realizing it's always going to be a part of me. I just have to learn how to navigate the ups and downs. I'm just coming out, like a week ago today, I was in a pretty bad spot.
Right.
But you come out of it, and that's another important thing to know is like, it doesn't matter how bad you feel, it's not going to stay there forever, especially if you don't do like self-destructive behavior.
But and that's like what we talk about, right? And just we went in a big circle, kind of, right? Because we come right back to that sense of community and having a place where you're going to have people to talk to or people to be around that are going to help.
That get you.
Yeah.
That will help carry that burden.
Understand you. Yeah. And it's not just people that are, I'm sorry I have an echo with my mic today. It's not just people that are giving you lip service that they understand you. It's people that truly understand you and that truly care.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it. And I think it's awesome. Like I said, guys, I'm going to try to have Pasha on as many times as I can, as many times as he wants to be on, because the more people we reach, that's our true measure of success. As he stated earlier, start with why. That is my why. It's to build this community. It's to build a resource, an asset, whatever you want to call it, for people to reach out to. Even if it's someone just sending me a direct message on Instagram, Workplay Obsession on Instagram, or shameless plug, or if it's Facebook Messenger, right? Or if it's an email, workplayobsessionbjj@gmail.com. Even if that's it, or I wear my shirts pretty much all the time I'm out at an event. So even if someone says, "Wait, I recognize that shirt," and they bump into me and then they talk to me, that's my why, So I think you phrase it really well. Find your why, man. And a lot of times that'll help you take that first step.
Yeah.
Cool. I know you got a call. I want to close out by mentioning Monday, 27 May. We're going to be here, guys, holding an event. It's actually a 4-part event, I'm calling it. So we have, for Memorial Day, we're going to have Murph at 9:30 it starts. I think gym will be open at 9, I believe. Murph starts at 9:30. At 11, I think it is, or 11:30, we'll have yoga. And then you're starting at 12?
Yeah.
And then at 12 o'clock, Pasha's going to take over. A little snippet of what you're going to discuss.
We're just going to talk about living with stress. It's a huge problem right now in our society. And my stress obviously comes, we just talked this conversation, but a lot of, we get a lot of attention in the media, veterans, PTSD, but firemen, police officers, and any first responders, they go through traumatic experiences.
Absolutely. The stress is there. The same challenges are there. I agree 100%. So that's at noon, and then we're going to close out, guys, at from 1 to I think 3:30. We're going to close out with an open mat, Jiu Jitsu. So 4 events in one on Memorial Day. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention we are going to stop and take some time for Memorial Day to recognize those that were lost in combat. We're gonna have a little moment for that too. We'll also have drinks, some types of finger foods, and most of all, we'll have camaraderie, guys. We're going to be here. None of the events will be in a truly competitive spirit.
No.
It will be more of a make friends, community type of event. So come on out, bring your kids, bring your friends. Come one, come all. It's going to be a great event. I'm super excited for that. Oh, it's going to be here at the compound, guys. It's 12210 Plum Orchard Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland.
Yeah.
I think I have that right. 12210 Plum Orchard Drive, Silver Spring, Maryland. You can also just throw the address in your Waze or Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever you have, but it'll bring you right here. So guys, please come on out. If you can't come out, follow Workplay Obsession on Facebook, Instagram, or the website workplayobsession.com. Or if you can also follow Pasha at what's your throw all your
Pasha Palanker, Pasha PASHAPALANKER. Just put it in the notes or something.
Yep.
On there.
So I'll also throw it in the notes there, guys, if you want to read it there and make it easier to find. So if you can't come to an event, or if you just have a day where you want to reach out to one of us, feel free to do so. I pretty much have my phone with me all the time.
All of us do.
We all do nowadays. So pretty much that's all I have, unless you have something else.
Just if this hit you, just remember you're not alone. This burden is a lot easier to carry when you're carrying it with somebody else. So if you can't come out, just join us on social media and reach out anytime.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. If you can, share it, tag a friend, let them know. Spread the word, man. We'll continue to build the community together. All right. Until next time, guys, keep grinding.